The maximum speed limit within the city is 50 kilometers per hour. Check your gauges from time to time. If your speed is about to exceed 50 kilometers per hour, simply taking your foot off the gas will be enough. We are driving on a two-way single-lane road. If the line in the middle is continuous and straight, it means that changing lanes is prohibited. From time to time, you will see that the lines change from a solid line to a dashed line. For example, here, since vehicles can join the road from both the left and the right, it means that vehicles from both lanes can turn right or left at these points. Don't think that you can overtake just because of these dashed lines here. Overtaking is still prohibited here. Of course, since there was no one coming from the left, he moved into the left lane. When we look immediately to the right, we see a pedestrian crossing sign. We can already see the pedestrian crossing here. When we look ahead, there is a pedestrian crossing about 15 or 20 meters away. But at the same time, there is a pedestrian on the left who is about to cross the street, not from the pedestrian crossing, but from before it. The pedestrian does not have the right of way here. He should cross from the pedestrian crossing about 15 or 20 meters ahead. That's what the rules say. In places where there is a pedestrian crossing, all drivers are required to slow down anyway. But when you want to yield to pedestrians in places where there is no pedestrian crossing, you need to consider something. You may yield to the pedestrian, but a vehicle coming from behind you or from the right may not realize that you have stopped to let the pedestrian cross. Because you are blocking their line of sight, they may not be able to see. In this situation, if you force the pedestrian to cross, if you stop and yield to them and the pedestrian tries to cross without checking the road, they may be at risk of an accident with the car coming from the right. Be very careful about this. Therefore, we continue on our way. At a place with a traffic light, the flow of traffic is controlled by the traffic light. At almost all intersections with a traffic light, there is usually a stop sign as well. Sometimes these lights may not work. In situations where the traffic light is out of order, you need to pay attention to the traffic signs. If the traffic light wasn't working here, we would have to stop and check the road before crossing. Because there is a stop sign and at the same time a no right turn sign. Let's pay attention to this as well. We can see the vehicles coming from there right now, but even if it's empty, this sign is placed here so that you don't get distracted and accidentally turn in that direction. Let's also provide this information. At intersections where the traffic lights are not working, we pay attention to the traffic signs. Don't let this confuse you. We follow the order. First, we consider the traffic lights. If there aren't any, then the traffic signs. And if there are no traffic signs either, we pay attention to the road markings. In this part of the exam, we will start the vehicle without letting it roll back more than 50 centimeters. The examiners may ask you to wait here for a while. When they say you can proceed, you may now start driving. There is a slight incline upwards. To prevent the vehicle from rolling back, we usually apply the half-clutch technique. When you bring the clutch pedal to the half-clutch position, the engine will start to vibrate a little. Its sound changes and its operating rhythm changes. Or you can do this by using the tachometer. The first thing the driver does is put the car into first gear, turn on the left signal, that is, the signal to join the road, and now we'll adjust the clutch. When you slowly release the clutch, the tachometer, which had previously risen, will start to drop again. When the needle, which has started to drop again, is just above 1000 RPM, stabilize the clutch. Your foot is still on the brake, but you have stabilized the clutch. Before releasing the brake, you should check the road through your left mirror. If the traffic behind is clear and your left side is completely open, release the brake and wait for about a second and you will see the car start to move slowly. Do not try to release the clutch at this point, because the engine will stall, and support the car with the gas pedal. Give it a little gas and you can slowly start moving onto the road. We will be going uphill. When going downhill, we take our foot off the gas, but when climbing, you may need to give a bit more gas. Keep that in mind as well. We continue to climb. If you noticed, we are also on a winding road. The curve warning signs indicate that we're entering a left turn. Our speed is around 40 kilometers per hour. As you can see, we're keeping our distance from the motorcycle ahead of us. A moment ago we were climbing and now we're descending again. We're going downhill and it's a winding road. Before entering curves, brake in advance to reduce your speed and then enter the curve. Just like the driver did here, a slight touch on the brake pedal to balance the speed. It warns us again about the 30-kilometer speed limit and we are entering another intersection. This sign also tells us that we are on the main road and that vehicles coming from other directions at the intersection must yield to us. It wants us to keep our speed at a maximum of 30 kilometers per hour, brings the speed to around 30 kilometers per hour, and enters the intersection. Ahead, on the right side again, we have a pedestrian crossing sign. You can also see the pedestrian crossing ahead. You need to pay attention to this as well. If there is anyone waiting there to cross, we must yield to them.